Hello and welcome. My name is Neve Brooke and I'm a young film programmer here at Film East. Today I'm joined with my fellow programmers Shelby Cook, Zara Lipanova and Alex Smith to discuss the Paddington films. This segment is part of Film East, a Norwich-based young film programmers group supported by Reel Connections and Film Hub South East. So today we are going to be talking about Paddington. And most of you, I'm sure, are aware of the sweet little bear from Peru in his little blue coat and red hat. But if you're not, he is based on the books written by Michael Bond, and it follows the story of Paddington Brown, the young bear from darkest Peru, and his adventures in London with the Brown family. Bond's story of Paddington Bear was conceived in a post-war Britain where evacuees and refugees were prevalent in society. The young bear taught readers that kindness and good manners were the key to happiness, fun, and helping others. This message is still prevalent today and was brought back to the public consciousness in 2014 with Paul King's version of the character. Still utilising his manners, this version of Paddington navigates a more modern London, shocked at the lack of kindness and marmalade in our society. The character is a wonderful tool to teach not only children but adults the plight of refugees and how kindness can change the world. So, guys, what did you think of Paddington?
I love Paddington.
Damn right.
We all stand Paddington.
Yeah, I just think it's literally the sweetest film. Is what I always gravitate towards. Like when I've had a bad day, I just want to put on Paddington and watch it. And it just brings me so much joy. And yeah, I just adore it.
I love it because I am a sucker for like pure visual filmmaking, like Dexter Fletcher, Edgar Wright, that kind of where it's just visual lushness. And not only is it a great narrative, but every single frame in this film you can tell has been planned out. It's funny, or there's a joke, or it's beautiful, or it means something. And I could literally just mute it and watch it just for the like everything about it. I adore.
The scene where he goes into the video of Darkest Peru is just such a beautiful scene. And then in the second one with the pop-up book, it's just such a wonderful segment. It's just so great.
Or the doll's house showing how separated the family are in different rooms. Like, it's just amazing. And or the jungle in the prison. I could go on for hours.
It's like the prison one is like very Wes Anderson.
Yeah, it's just so meticulous, but so every single detail in the film is there for a reason. Like, there are so many jokes in newspaper clippings and things on the fridge. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, definitely. And it is just stunning, isn't it? The like color palette, and it's so bright, and it's definitely like really happy film to look at as well.
And I think just from a technical point of view, the way that they made Paddington,
I
like a lot of like the animated animals in movies are not very good. And I think just the Paddington, like, he's not real, but he just, the way that I guess they designed him, and like he just looks like he's just so fluffy.
But this was 2014 as well. The first one was 2014, and that is really good animation for that long ago. Like, because I don't think the Jungle Book came out till 2016, 2017, whenever that came out. But it's fantastic. I think it's a mixture of Ben Winshaw's fantastic chef's kiss performance as Paddington and some very, very talented artists. It was incredible. So that leads me on to the sort of message of the key theme in Paddington is kindness and remembering your manners, and how we've kind of lost that as a society. We're all pretty selfish now. How well do you think, through like visuals or just the narrative itself, do you think the message of kindness and acceptance are conveyed in the film?
Well, if you're kind and polite, then the world will be all right.
Lovely. Preach.
From the words of our little bear. No, I think you're definitely right. There's definitely a lot of hate towards Paddington because he's different. And you can read that either because he's not from Britain, or because he's a bear and he's, in any other way, he's from this otherness. And you particularly see that with Mr. Curry. And a lot of it is very reminiscent of how hate sort of brews in society and how we sort of form these hate groups. And a lot of it with Nicole Kidman's character, she very much like propagates it. She's like stoking the fire. She's like, well, he's going to be playing all of that bear music, and he's going to clog all the drains with marmalade. And, she's like, really like forcing him to like look at him as this bad person, even though Mr. Curry doesn't know him, for one thing, and he automatically has this hatred towards Paddington just because he's different.
I also love, like you mentioned, Mr. Curry. Like we were saying, the set design for Mr. Curry's flat, it's blink and you miss it, but it's 1970s, it's old, it's decrepit, and that's his views. That is his viewpoint. Like, it's so clever the way they've dressed him and the way they set like the wallpaper and stuff, and him listening to the stuff, like, oh yeah, of course, that's true, because that's such an old way of thinking. Another credit to the set designers of Paddington. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think now you mentioned set design as well, I think the theme of kindness and the theme like the theme of the importance of like family and being connected to each other and like having tight relationships and spending time with one another, it really comes across in the set design in the house as well. So you've got this beautiful tree coming up this staircase, and when Paddington leaves because he's quite upset and he felt like he caused quite a lot of damage to the family, you see the family kind of going their separate ways again, and all of the flowers from the trees go off the tree, and it's just such a like sad,
it's so
and
touching.
Simple. Yeah, it's a really simple way of depicting how kind of kindness and like listening to each other and relationships is like important. And yeah, as opposed to the imagery of like Mr. Curry, for example, who's very self-isolated and very separate from society.
Yeah. And so you sort of speaking of the family, one of the things that I noticed, and ever since I noticed it the last time, not the time I watched the film for this podcast, but the time before, the costume design for the Browns is explicit. So Mrs. Brown is a colourful woman, she's kind, so she wears lots of reds and blues, ironically the colours of Paddington, whereas Mr. Brown, when we first meet Mr. Brown, he wears a pure grey suit. Judy and Jonathan wears more blue and brown, and Judy wears some blue and brown, but they're all both dressed in grey, and it shows that children are the products of their parents' viewpoints. So they have both of their parents in them, but obviously they're not quite sure yet. But the more time they spend with Paddington and the kinder they are, the more blue and red they wear, and the more blue and red Mr. Brown wears to show that they're kind. I just love it. I think it is so smart. Even Judy's headphones are blue and red. Like, it's so clever.
It's definitely a film that is not appreciated, because I think a lot of people, like, we've had this discussion before, that a lot of people think just because it's a kid's movie that it's not going. I mean, Paddington, both Paddington 1 and 2 has so much metaphor and so much symbolism in it, and it talks so deeply on a lot of issues that plague not just modern Britain but the world at large. And it really has a lot of, like you said, like a lot of the subtext to it is very deep, and it's a lot of things where, of course, it's going to entertain little kids because it's, you know, an adventure movie with a talking bear. But I think a lot of parents should watch it from the lens of, you know, what exactly is this film trying to say about our society, because it definitely does have a lot of commentary that goes just beyond being a fun movie.
I mean, even in the first 10 minutes alone, the imagery is so stark. When I know it's not in the film, I know in the film it's an earthquake, but when Paddington loses his home and Uncle Pastor's out, I always read that as deforestation. I read that as that it's, you know, not really an earthquake, it's some bulldozers or something, and that's what really does it. And when they come out of the hatch, it's shot like a war film. It's shot with like Steadicam, and it's subtly done. It's very, very sort of nuanced, but it's there, and it really adds like, oh my God, they're in danger. And then you see them sneaking on the freight ship, and there are so many imagery for real issues that don't just relate to bears from darkest Peru, that relate to people all over the world, and it will allow children and adults to sort of recognize, like, okay, people are going through this. And it's so smart and so clever, and I think it's amazing.
And I think it's really important that they're trying to portray those kind of stories to young people as well as adults, because if children can understand those horrible topics like being forced out of your home, and parents can see that children understand that might encourage the parents to actually step back and think, maybe I need to be kinder, and if my child can see this from just a film, maybe I need to continue teaching them the right kind of lessons.
Yeah. and even for the adults, because I think everyone has time to learn, and I think it's a wonderful thing. If you've got kids, if you are a kid, or if you don't, everyone needs to watch Paddington. That kind of moved me on. How important do you think these films are, Paddington 1 and 2? Do you think, like, yeah, they're a lovely kids film with a good message, or do you think these have a more important sort of, I don't know, standard in society, like prevalence in society? What do you guys think?
Well, I know I wrote, when I was doing my master's, I wrote an essay on Paddington. And I often talked to my coworker about like some of the things I was like researching on. And he was very staunch, and he was about 50. So he's from that generation where Paddington, first came in. And he was like, Paddington's not about society. It's just a bear. And I'm like, well, I don't think it's just a bear. I think that's the beauty of art in general, is that you can read it how you want to read it. So, if you want it to be about just a bear, then it can be just about a bear. But I think the way that you can read it as looking at a commentary on society, a commentary on modern day Britain, a lot of the hatred that's in society, and the way that we need to find our ways back to being able to help people and find kindness. It's one of the great things, that you can read that into a story that might on the surface just be about a bear, who comes to London and just wants to be a little English bear. And I think that's just one of the most beautiful things about it, is that it really is a film that has really some deep meanings in it. And even the original stories itself, like you said at the beginning, Neve, that it was started with the World War II and the evacuees, and that's sort of how Paddington sort of came from that idea. It's obviously a story that's very much grounded in this sort of, I don't want to say political messaging, but very much in this messaging of the time in society, and what this bear can do to contribute to a society that he's not necessarily originated from, but he comes as someone else and comes to make it better. It's
a story of open-mindedness and acceptance of others in whatever situation. And I think no matter who you are and what you know, that's something that you need. You need kindness, it's just, I think, well, even Michael Bond said it's a story about someone needing help and we helping them, because evacuees and refugees, that was so prevalent in the society that he grew up in. So of course that was going to be what the story was about.
Yeah, I mean, how rude for an academic to say that is just about a bear. Unacceptable.
Yeah. I think he kept fighting me on it. He was just like, it's not, it's just about a bear. And I was like, well, no, like you have to look at it like he comes to Britain from another country, and he's
as a foreigner.
He's trying to
identify with Paddington.
That's what I would always say. I'm like, I love Paddington because I too can identify with coming to Britain from a foreign country. And you're trying to, and like a lot of it, which I really enjoy about the first film, is he does have a lot of these like really bad cultural like shock moments where he tries to learn how to do the English, and he wants to do it the right way, but he just can't figure out how to do it. Like when he's going down in the escalator, he's trying to go on the tube, and he's just like messing up so bad, and like everyone's like pushing past him because he's not doing it. And like I think that is, I find that to be one of the most endearing parts about the first film, is that he does have a lot of these cultural blunders, and he tries but he just tries really hard, like he really to like him. And he just wants to be such like, it's like he doesn't, and I feel like that is what makes it framed it as such a great film on immigration, is that it doesn't frame Paddington as like a bad person coming to Britain because he's trying to like steal some jobs or whatever, but like he's coming and he wants to be British, like he wants to drink his tea, and he wants to go on the tube and talk to the community, and it's just like I just think that is such an adorable film, and I really think it's a beautiful message on a lot of the issues that we have, not just in Britain but around the world.
Yeah, everyone needs a bit of Paddington in their lives. Everyone needs to sit down with a cuppa, with maybe with some fairy lights, and just sit and enjoy the beauty that is Paddington.
And it's a perfect Christmas.
In their lives. I'm getting that like on a poster.
That's going to be Film East's new slogan.
Hopefully you enjoyed our brief discussion today. If you're interested in learning more about Paddington, you can visit our website to read our article on the Little Bear from Peru, as well as other articles related to the topic. If you're interested in contributing to our film and television blog, visit film-east.com/submissions for more information. To learn more about Film East and the young film programmers, visit our website film-east.com or follow us on any of our social medias at films_east. Again, we're Film East, a Norwich-based young film programming group supported by Reel Connections and a part of Film Hub South East and the BFI Fan Network.